Reacting to Dante's tweet about the HECARIM problem, since the new season started, HECARIM has become one of the worst junglers in the game as well as one of the most unfun champions to play as from a one-trick perspective. Now that's true, he been quite shit forever and perhaps even unfun to play, right? Here is how to fix it. Riot, Freak, Plox, Proxons. The following list of problems are just band-aid solutions. HECARIM's real problem is that he has no sense of identity, therefore he is my main solution. While he's kind of a mobile bruiser. How is that not an identity? Camille is also a mobile bruiser, although Camille is actually useful, right? There are actually mobile bruisers in the game. I don't know how is that not an identity, but sure. When thinking about HECARIM, he's supposed to be the fast, feared horse. However, his gameplay does not respect this. But he is quite fast if he presses E ghost. He builds mobility items, right? But he has mobility though. He is instead viewed as an unkillable juggernaut that feels awful to play against when he's ahead and extremely worthless when he's behind. But that's the thing, if it's opposite, if he's again sort of a assassin HECARIM as in the past that could one shot, that's even more annoying, because he got actually sort of pushed from this type of like one shot oriented champion to a champion that's less so like an assassin, more so like a bruiser, because he's a war horse after all, right? One of his other issues that he just feels stale healing bruisers similar to the entire roster of top name bruisers that are already in the game, removing his sense of originality. He does have still a sense of originality, and when which champion on top lane does actually have an ultimate that hard engages the way that HECARIM does with a fear, right? Because he's a Shadow Wild champion, so he does fear, he doesn't knocks up like Malphite, right? But also notably, which champion does have also an E like HECARIM, specifically on top lane now, that speeds himself up and knocks back champions, stacking Q now. I guess like some champs have like 3 Q effects, like Driven, but it's not. It's like, which champion does actually heal on his W and give armor and DMR? Now, Gwen does get armor and DMR on her W when she goes invulnerable, she doesn't heals. I think there is a lot of originality to HECARIM, especially his passive, because none of the champions really in the game scale their damage with a movement speed, my bad, and almost at attack speed. I think he has some originality in his kit though. The solution is simple, make him fast! HECARIM should receive less damage from his bonus movement speed, so wow, Fizz has a similar passive that scales with AP, although Fizz's passive specifically has a very shit low AP ratio. However, his bonus AD AP should give him bonus movement speed, so he takes less damage when he's fast, and there is an AD-AP scaling for his movements, so he runs faster based on the AD he has, so he wants to have Assassin HECARIM again back in the meta. This would make HECARIM feel much faster, however this would make him also less of a stat check champion. But you just legit said it, HECARIM should receive less damage from his bonus movement speed. So he takes less damage based on his mobility, so doesn't that mean that he's more stat checky because he receives more resistances than in the past? I guess that's just weird, right? Give him 4 stack Q, but this again pushes him to be a bruiser, because that's what bruisers do. They have 3 Q effects, or they have a DPS oriented kit. The same thing applies to HECARIM. If he has 4 Qs, then he is one of those bruisers actually that does have stacking, ramping up damage in their kit. I guess would make the first 3 feel weaker, but that's a bad idea as well, because that may mess with his clear or B situation. It's like you can't have all the time your Q stacked before a fight, and then it's just kinda bad, because then it takes forever to stack your Q, and then you don't have upfront damage if you don't gank off queuing a certain monster camp, so that can be also weird occasionally. Every stack of HECARIM's Q should give him bonus movement speed with... Holy, he wants a lot of movement speed on this champion, with an effect at max stack that either gives him a large MS boost when hitting an enemy champion, armor, magic penetration. What? Yeah, that's interesting. With an effect at max stack that either gives large mobility when he is hitting an enemy champion, armor, magic penetration, or omnivamp on his Q exclusively, right? So not on other abilities, he doesn't get benefit of these armor, magic pen or omnivamp effects, only specifically on his Q. But then we actually just go back to the bruiser build, because if you have omnivamp, then again, it's a bit more bruiser oriented. If you have armor or magic pen, or armor pen more so, why would you have give magic pen to HECARIM when his W does a teensy bit of magic damage, same as his R? I don't get the magic pen idea, but it's just kind of weird, right? And so I guess the speed and the armor pen would help him to be more so of a preferred assassin if that's what he likes. But some of these just kind of like push him to be more so of a bruiser, to be honest, in these days. Some of these changes. This would make him have more of a skill learning curve because you stack an extra Q, and I guess your Q has an extra effect of possibly are more omnivamp or more speed. I mean, it's just weird. Which rewards better player since his value will be less in upfront damage and more in how he plays fight. So basically stacks up Q of camp same as before, so I don't using MS to dodge abilities weaving, and yeah, but you're already quite fast when you have Ghost on HECARIM and Phase Rush and whatnot. Like, the thing is Q providing mobility is a bit weird, because like there is already Balbat suit that's such an annoying ability because it provides damage and mobility, right? And that's a very annoying ability to face. So if HECARIM would actually get speed on his Q, like think about it, how many bruisers do actually have like a damage oriented, DPS oriented ability such as a 4th stack HECARIM Q plus armor pen or speed, right? And also it provides speed. Like think about like Wukong's or other like DPS oriented abilities in the game, right? The thing about like Jarvan's Q, right, it can actually pen armor, it's AoE, it's longer range perhaps than HECARIM's Q, it pens armor, right? So, but the key difference is that there is a very big cooldown difference when HECARIM's Q is stacked up, right? So that's what you should actually really watch out for. So I don't know, I mean, more mobility means more damage of passive, so it's like, that's also kind of weird, right? Because I think just too much speed for HECARIM, because like mages will be able to hardly deal with the champion, or AD carries will have difficult times to actually kite his champion out, just because it's now kind of weird because he's way too sticky, and his kit is already very sticky, especially with his items. So I feel like the mobility would be a weird change, just because like it would make him too oppressive. I don't know, like there is just so much mobility already in his kit just by reading these, right? This would make him feel, as I read it before, W, remove the healing entirely, but that's the point of his W, to heal. He sucks the life out of people. Instead, HECARIM should get a shield that scales with AD or AP, so basically an Eclipse or what. As well as movement speed. How much movement speed boost does a champion need at this point? Give more mobility. It's like Akali, give her more mobility. Akali was never a good design just because how much mobility she had in her kit, right? Zeri was never a good design because how much mobility. Give her more mobility. And make all enemies within the range of his W get slowed. Now why would HECARIM, but this also again gives HECARIM even more stickiness. So you want the champion to be fast, and even faster. And then you also have a slow on your W. Mordecai doesn't get so slow in his kit for some random reason. I don't know why would HECARIM specifically get the slow on his W when he's already so mobile. Wouldn't that just make him a bit too oppressive though? But also I feel like this like slow idea, I guess like Grudge doesn't like upfront slows as in the past, so that's like lacking. But I mean, like, okay, his W slows, but it still gives a shield though. It doesn't heal, but it still gives a shield, which can make up for the healing. Like, do you get a shield of every single champion, or how does it work? So you get a shield, right? But then, as in the past, like you can heal of every champion, so you get a shield of every champion, and basically they're in the same place. So if they have anti-heal, you may go better off with this shield. I don't know, I guess, I mean, that's just weird, man. So he gets a shield. It's basically like an Eclipse-like effect, right? Plus like a Garage slow. So he gets speed, and I mean, that's just weird. But that's still a defensive purpose. That's the thing. Like some bruisers do have shields in their kit, like Riven. So it's like it's still kind of a bruiser. It just doesn't heal, but it shields. You know, like Riven doesn't like heal either, but it shields herself, right? This would make him have more counterplay in the sense that he doesn't just heal for hundreds fights and he gets free resistances. Yeah, but he still gets the resistances. I don't think so. He said the resistances should be removed though. He said just a shield and the heal is removed, but he didn't talk shit about like resistances, to be honest. Just heal for hundreds of fight and get the free resistances. However, HECARIM will now be rewarded for good W timing more than it will play in the... I don't know how hard is it to time that W, to be honest to you guys, but I guess he will be rewarded for using the W for slowing purposes occasionally. If you wanna layer it after your Orpheus, I guess, or something, but HECARIM will be rewarded for this. Even more speed. Every level up, E should give him slightly more speed, 2.5, as well as a better base damage healing. I swear dantes needs to be actually like hired in the Riot Games balancing center with these ideas. The issue is that the movement speed cap is a bit weird in League, so many people don't really know, right? When the raw movement speed cap, right, when the raw movement speed is greater than 415, there are two soft caps applied, right? The raw speed between 415 and 490 gets multiplied by 80, right? The raw speed over 490 gets multiplied by 50, right? So the more mobility you have, the more diminished your mobility eventually becomes. And so now that everything gives mobility in HECARIM's kit, but I think it's a very bad design, because as I said, Akali, prime example, she has so much mobility in the game, and she forever been a frustrating champion to play into due to her mobility. And I could say so many champs that people been calling 200 years millions of dash champs, like, yo, too much mobility never been too healthy for the game. Now I get HECARIM still has his dash on his E, his R, right? So it doesn't only have speed ups, you know, like Yon does, right? Like he has dash, he has his speed up. But it was never really like healthy for the game to beat this fast. Most of these designs were failures, like Akali's, I said she was always broken by design. She been toned down sometimes, nerfed a bit, buffed a little bit back, then some items served her super well, so she's again strong. So it's I think it's so weird to give a slow and then just so much mobility to a champion, because that's like never been the best possible way to design a champion, because most of the champs in the past, if you look back, when they had a lot of mobility, they either been nerfed quite hard, or they just never been like fun to play into. Like now HECARIM runs at the mobility of an animal and basically just one shots people in the past now, because it like moves quite quickly, right? But that's never been like fun to play into, to be honest, because then you just get one shot that he gets out, and because he's so fast, right, he just gets out in no time. And I mean, this Bruiser HECARIM is like way more fair to fight, because it's kind of like Bruiser Briar and this lethality like one shot Briar build, right? The lethality one shot Briar build when always like more unfun and more broken to play into, just because like basically you just ulted in, he one shotted you, and now they pushed her into more so of a Bruiser style over this lethality one shot oriented playstyle, just because that was always more unfun for people to face. Now, of course, for Briar players specifically, it's more fun for them to one shot people, I get it, but when the other like players that face those champs non-stop get frustrated and pissed off, that's definitely not a fun way to balance the game, right? And don't know, like the speed idea is not like, there's just too much emphasis on speed, he says, because the cap itself, right? So then that's just weird, you know. That also makes it a bit weird. First solution, HECARIM would actually benefit more from AP items than Bruiser items that were added. However, AP HECARIM is not viable because his main damaging ability Q has no AP scaling. What? Therefore, giving Q a good AP ratio and slightly nerfing his R AP ratio would actually push AP HECARIM into a state of viability similar to Twitch, allow him to have more freedom when he can choose to do which build. Yes, but his kit would still deal physical damage, his Q and D though. So you go AP, but your champion does still AD damage, you know? So that's just weird, I guess. Because like your Q, or should your Q deal then AP damage because you build AP? But it's not specified. I guess that's just weird. Because like, okay, you build AP, and maybe you're gonna get a Lich Bane proc on your basics, so it gives mobility on hit plus whatnot, you know, like AP, great amount of AP cooldowns, so decent stats for HECARIM as an example, but then your Q still does physical damage, so it's like if people build armor, then it's kind of like regardless if you go AP or whatnot, you know, like I think it's just a bit weird, you know. Uh, of a change. Second solution, Thunder Sky currently is bugged on HECARIM and doesn't do amplified damage as it's supposed. Yeah, but it won't do too much damage. It will only work based off your base AD, so it doesn't work with like empowered basic attack effects as people are thinking, I think. Fixing this would make the Bruiser champion, but I just a teensy bit like. Let me just check again Thunder Sky before I say something bullshit. Thunder Sky. Your next basic attack against the champion deals empowered to critically strike for 175 damage. Wasn't it 150? Oh no, the healing is based on your base AD, huh? So 175. I thought before it was less actually. I thought it was 150 in game, no? I mean that would still give him a bit more upfront damage in E into squishy champs. That's true. Bug fixing it would be great because that definitely should be bugged. His E should definitely apply on hit effects. I mean, sure, but I swear this is 150. No, as I remember, Thunder Sky it was 150. No, it's 175 crit damage. Maybe Riot Games change it. Maybe. Did Riot Games change it at the time? Really, it was all the time the same. Okay. Well, basically that would help with the first E, but some champions don't crit with their ability, right? So HECARIM fandom. So some champs can specifically crit with an ability like Camille's Q, or they don't synergize with crit. For example, Rek'Sai's Q can crit, right? Rek'Sai, right? Type Rek'Sai fandom. Now Rek'Sai's Q specifically does synergize with crit because it can crit, right? Affected by critical strike modifier, so the bonus damage from it will crit, right? Now, if the bonus damage from HECARIM's E doesn't crit, then so devastating charge can critically strike, right? But does it scale with crit the bonus damage itself? So it can critically strike. So you will deal a bit more damage, which is definitely nice to have as an upfront damage, right? Like bug fixing it would probably do something. It just the item itself doesn't provide mobility, just some upfront burst, but it's definitely a nice item for Bruiser HECARIM to have a bit more damage. With the removal of mana immune from his build, HECARIM doesn't have enough damage to be a threat. First solution, buff his base damage. His base damage was heavily nerfed years ago, and the only thing that was allowed him to be viable to fix this, buff the base damage of his Q and E, and also give his E significantly more damage for level 2 you put into it. Yeah, that could be buffed. His E could be buffed. His Q, I don't know. Like HECARIM is one of those type of champions that generally is weaker on curve than other champs due to his snowballing power. So that's why like some champions are just weaker, because they can snowball really hard. It just really comes down to like who will deal more damage on his Q, HECARIM or on Olaf or something else or some other bruiser. And it just really comes down to like why HECARIM doesn't do insane damage on his Q. Because A scenario, he is snowbally. B scenario, he has way more ganking potential than an Olaf due to his E and his R mobility, as an example, right? So obviously Olaf will deal more damage on his Q. But basically it really comes down to the frequency as well, right? Like HECARIM's Q can be way more frequent when he has lots of cooldown, right? Perhaps he needs to pick up the X as well, the Olaf, even if he has lots of cooldown, right? So it just really comes down to like A, your champion is like good at ganking, right? Like Zac, so he shouldn't deal insane damage. Or it's like B, your champion is better at fighting, so he shouldn't be an insane ganker, right? Or it's just like champion. Like, he wants HECARIM to be kind of like both, you know? Like, he has to be a hard ganker, and he has to be like a hard fighter as well. And it's often like kind of like balanced a little bit in between. So if your champion can really well gank, then it shouldn't be the best fighter, you know? Because then it's kind of like, yeah, but then it just kind of sucks. Because now he ganks really hard, First solution, his base damage has heavily been nerfed, we already read that. To fix this buff is QND and also gives significantly. This would also HECARIM players to choose between whether to max W or E every game. Whether ahead or behind, which would add more skill expression to it. I guess like maxing an ability. I guess it gives some skill expression maxing a certain ability. Give Q a fourth stack, compensate, nerf the stack uptime to 8 seconds from 6 seconds, or remove Q stacks fall off altogether and leave it 8 seconds. This would allow HECARIM to have more damage and is actually to be a more reliable threat. Third solution, give HECARIM Q an added effect on 3 stacks, where it has armor penetration for better deal with tanks. But that's the thing, the champion isn't supposed to deal with everything. Usually the champion design is not the best when it's supposed to deal with everything, so HECARIM's focus is often not tanks, you know. Olaf's focus can be a tank as well, because he can pen on his Q, he has true damage on his E. But Olaf sucks harder at diving into the AD carry, into the backline, right? As an example. Third solution, we already read that. Give HECARIM movement speed so he can stick to the opponents better. HECARIM's W resistance is too overbearing to make him too tanky without having to build any actual resistances and prevent him from receiving any actual damage buffs. Yeah, because they want HECARIM just to like stay in this like more so tanky playstyle. Change the effect to give HECARIM a shield that scales with AD instead of armor and more. Change the effect to give a shield that scales with AD instead of armor and more. As well as a light speed up! Oh god. So that it can actually be countered. Well, I mean, he really wants the AD HECARIM full AD burst HECARIM to happen, right? As a bonus paragraph, all of the HECARIM skins have been bugged for years now and do not give a special visual effect on Q stacks like they used to. If this could be fixed, it would be amazing. HECARIM players would be happy and people playing against the champion would be awesome here from visual clarity. I mean, usually I see the skins though. That's the thing, usually I see the skin queues, but... Or you can click on the champion, but I guess it's a good way of like changing the champion. Now we can see HECARIM's win rate. Yeah, but that's the thing about HECARIM, like if it's too meta, then it's just very dog shit to face. That's the thing about the champion. So some champions like Zed, for example, is overly banned. At the time HECARIM was perma banned as well. It's just like, it really comes down to like how dog shit it feels like to face a certain champion. Like Fizz is perma banned now, of course, because he's very annoying, you know. Simply said, he's like very broken with the new items. Akali been very strong, so it's like, it really comes down to like what do the other like players feel when they face such a champion, you know? Because like people that played in, now maybe as a HECARIM player you don't know, but in the past people that played into HECARIM when he was actually way more viable with his burst build, it felt to be pure shit. It was way too fast. He was one-shotting people. I mean, it was just annoying to play into, and this HECARIM just feels to be more fair, even throws more shit in the meta. So I think HECARIM definitely deserves buffs, but I just would push him more so into a bruiser than this like speedy, one-shotty, whatever HECARIM. Because it just really comes down to like how fun it is for your opponents to play into. And I think it's more fun to play into like bruiser HECARIM. Now that's it for now, guys. If you have any type of civilized discussion, definitely leave a comment in the comment section and we can talk about your opinions. So that's it for now, guys. Have a nice day.